So, let's start with Tycho Brahe. Tycho Brahe is the fellow that is commonly, referenced because he had a silver nose made when somebody bit his nose off in a duel. So he ran around and did science. What did he do? Oh, that's not straight. I tried so hard. He had something like this. He had a sight. He had a piece of wood 40 feet long on a pivot. And he had around it a circle marked with 360 degrees and minutes and seconds. So he could get down to arc seconds of position. And so he could look at the stars with this thing at a certain time of day, check some other stars, and find out what day it was because of the position of the stars in the sky at that time. So a lot of religious monks, a lot of monks became natural philosophers, which is the earliest term that really applies to anybody that does experimentation. And some of them used it to celebrate the excellent abundance of life and so on through their religious beliefs. But you don't need to add that to appreciate sort of how this works. Genes compete with each other, believe it or not. We used to think that we had like 98% junk DNA, and people were thinking about cutting it all out. But that's not related to this. Okay. The first thing that I wanted to tell you about was that there was this fellow, Eratosthenes, who had a friend who sent him a note and said, every time we hit the summer solstice, the light goes straight down my well, absolutely straight. It's illuminated perfectly evenly all around, so it looks like the sun is perpendicular to the earth at that spot. And so he rode, I can't remember, 40 miles or something, and did a reading on that well, and he got a difference. It wasn't vertical, it was 7 degrees off, so that this side of the well was shaded. So he did a little math. Actually, he was a brilliant man. I wish he were here now. So you have well number 1, where the sunlight's coming down perpendicular, and 40 miles away you have well number 2, but the sun is coming down, I'm exaggerating, at an angle of 7 degrees. And the distance between these two wells turns out to be 25 stadies, which was the measure at that time. But he used distance, angle, and geometry to determine that the Earth, not only was it round, but he could figure out this is the one that's perpendicular, and this is the one, if you continued it outward, this whole arc is 7 degrees. And he just did the math, and he came out with, oh, I didn't bring it, one of my favorite books, which I would highly recommend, is by Simon Singh. And he goes through this calculation, and it's actually in one of the handouts, probably next time, because this time and next time we'll be talking time. Here we go. In the 4th class, we'll be going through the math, and I'll give you some examples, but he basically just used natural phenomenon, that is time and geometry. And he figured out that the Earth was approximately, I think he said 44,000 kilometers And the real reading is 25 or something, 24 or something.
What was the recommended book?
Oh, I'm sorry. Simon Singh is the author. He wrote some other books which I really love. One which is about codes and ciphers and the Enigma machine and those things, which is fascinating. He's a good writer. But the one I'm recommending is called
S-I-N-G?
S-I-N-G-H. Yeah, somebody could just...
I can look it up on Amazon.com.
Yeah, I was just going to...
Is it The Big Bang?
well, that's one, yeah. Amazon.
I can look that up. Wait, have his name.
Yeah. I'm at Amazon looking it up. The code book I would recommend, it's just a fun read. Fermat's Enigma, sure, if you want to hurt your brain. I think it's The Big Bang. Yeah, The Big Bang. But the code book is really good too. So I would highly recommend those two. Books which I recommend. Whoops. Did I? Books. Which aren't here. Yes, that's an N. What did I say it was?
Big Bang.
Big Bang. Thank you. And he writes in the book is huge, and the reason it's huge is he writes in a way that's very easy to understand. Remember last class I said I want to teach you information, but I also want you to know how we arrived at that information. Because if you don't have the how explained to you, then I'm just drilling you, with questions. Okay, I would recommend that book. The other one that he had, which I liked, was, I think that's what the author, what the publisher did. Anyway, those two are highly recommended, as is Prothero's Evolution. What is those last name? Prothero. Those are three that I would strongly recommend. Okay, so your Lord comes to you, because this is in the day of lords and manors and mansions. Your Lord comes to you and says, my daughter's getting married and I need an auspicious day. They had all their stuff figured out. So rich people would hire someone to look up at the sky and tell them where things were located. Planets are called planets because they are wanderers. So they knew that there were fixed stationary stars, and they knew that there were these wanderers. And so they would take measurements from a fixed star to a wandering star, and then wait a week, and then line it up again and get the measurement. Well, Tycho Brahe thought that Kepler was going to be his competitor, so he didn't get access to the files until after Brahe died. So Kepler watched the wanderers, did some math, and realized that they followed a rule of ellipses.